Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of From Adversity to Awakening. I have today a very special guest, Diane Carson. Here she is. Dun, da, da, da. Hi, Diane.
Hi,
Diane is a
Peggy.
friend of mine from a long time ago, and we met, I don't even know, at a diversity conference.
That's a really good question. I do not remember where we met either, Peggy.
Well, she invited me to come to her school and speak on to kids about overcoming, just about celebrating differences, and she's been a big advocate for people
Yes.
with disabilities. So, um, hey, Diane.
Hi.
I'm going to read her bio here. So, Diane Pastora, is that right, Pastora?
Mhm.
Carson is a retired elementary educator of over 30 years and now co-teaches a disability studies course at San Diego State University. She is a consultant, educator, and speaker on diversity as it relates to disability, and is the author of several articles and books, which I have, including Beyond Awareness, Bringing Disability into Diversity Work in K to 12 Schools and Communities, and a children's book, Ed Roberts, Champion of Disability Rights. Diane also hosts her own podcast. I didn't know that. Beyond Awareness, Disability Awareness That Matters. Her disability awareness work has earned her statewide PTA recognitions in the areas of advocacy and outreach, as well as her school's designation of Teacher of the Year. Awesome. Aside from her TEDx talk, Diane has been featured in several podcasts and articles. She served 2 terms on the board of directors of Disability Rights California and currently serves as a board member of Disability Voices United. Although Diane experiences disability herself, she credits her passion for this work to her brother Joaquin, who endured years of segregated schooling and subsequent institutionalization. She takes the most pride in knowing that after many years of advocating for his release, Joaquin now lives a life of self determination, inclusion, and quality in the community as her next door neighbor.
Yes.
Yay, Diane. What an amazing. I know what I was involved in your life when you were advocating for him, and she was in and out of court and
Yes. Yeah,
vomiting out of
Peggy.
anxiety and stress for like a couple of years it went on.
Yes.
And thank goodness you
We
won the fight.
we finally won. And thank you for being a constant friend and mentor throughout that, not only with that situation, but just in general as
Yeah, well, it was
so
my
many
pleasure
ways.
because I was like, go, Diane, go.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm so glad to have you here talking about this adversities because certainly people with disabilities, yourself included, and your brother who is, very up close and personal for you and involved in your everyday life, um, can speak to, so well to this whole topic about overcoming adversity. So I guess I would start by asking you about what do you consider as your greatest adversity?
Thank you. So before I answer that, I just want to say, and it's really important for me to say that as I'm speaking about my journey with my brother Joaquin, it's important for your audience to know that I have Joaquin's permission and his blessing to share about our journey together.
Great. Great.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be comfortable speaking. I'm not speaking for him. I'm amplifying what he has been able to communicate to me that he wants people to know.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Um, and as far as our greatest adversity, my greatest adversity has been knowing how to best support my brother Joaquin while simultaneously understanding the importance of and learning how to nurture and love myself.
Yes. Beautiful. So caring for other whilst caring for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
caring for family member with special needs. So, that's a whole other packet. It's not just like here's your lunch, see you later
Right.
kind of
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like with a 12-year-old, that's about, like, okay, be home after school at 4, whatever. It's like a whole other level of involvement.
Sure. And for him specifically, yes. I mean, you meet one person with a disability, you've only met one person with a disability, right? So not everybody has that same uh, level of support needs.
Right,
He does,
right.
right? And it was when he became a teenager and was accidentally put on psychotropic medications that his autism wasn't just autism anymore. He became psychotic as a result of psychotropic medications, and it was impossible for him to be at home, and there was nothing in the community to support him. Our
Mhm.
family was very helpless at that point, and that's when Joaquin went to an institution where he lived 15 years of his life in Southern California. um, and of course, with being the good Spanish Italian family that we are, we we had to get him out. We couldn't let him be there for a long time. And as his sibling, um, who loved him, I've always felt Joaquin was like a soulmate to me, really. When I was proposed to by my husband, I said, well, my brother's already my soulmate. Right? Like, just kind of a joke, but it was how I really felt. Like, I have to be there for my brother. He is a priority. His needs outweigh the needs of anybody else in my life at that time. So we had to get him out, and we were
Can you
told that
tell
we
that,
couldn't.
excuse me, can you tell that story about when you went to school together? Because
Yeah.
that's
So, I mean, yeah, if we back up,
sort of the beginning, right?
yeah. So, when we were like 6 and 7 years old, so Joaquin didn't have the right to an education. And then a new law was passed that said, and it's called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA or IDEA. And Joaquin suddenly had the right to an education. And I remember I walked to school like I normally did, which was only a block away. And Joaquin's big yellow bus, or short yellow bus, I should say, came and picked him up. And he went to school. And once we were at school, he was in his classroom. And I went to my classroom. And then I couldn't wait for that bell to ring for recess. And when the recess bell rang, I ran to Joaquin's classroom. But before I got there, I was stopped by a big metal fence. And on the other side of that fence stood Joaquin and a teacher who was holding his hand. And I said excitedly, I'm here to take Joaquin out to recess to play with our friends. And the teacher said, I'm sorry, he can't go out to recess with you. And I was crushed. But always thinking of the alternatives, I said, well, can my friends and I come and play with him? I probably said it like a little girl. Can me and my friends come in and play with him here? And she said, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that either. He belongs here and you belong there. And Peggy, that was the first time in my life that somebody had pointed out clearly that my brother was discriminated against based on his disability. I
Mm.
mean, in my
Right.
first grade level mentality or second grade level, I didn't understand those words, but I knew something wasn't right because
Mhm.
Joaquin was the center of our family's world. And I loved him and I just wanted him to be included.
Of course.
And he wasn't being included. And that really set me on a trajectory for the rest of my life to find ways to ensure that my brother was included. So going to that institution, I mean, our family was mourning the loss of my brother for
Sure,
years.
sure.
And we were there. We drove from San Diego to Orange County every weekend, except for
Wow.
one, because I was sick. I had the flu and I didn't want to get him sick. And the other people who lived in his unit, I didn't want them to get sick. So, but other than that, we were there every weekend, every Saturday or Sunday to take him out and tell him he was loved and tell him we hadn't lost hope. We were working on ways to get him home, but to a home that had adequate supports to
Right,
meet his needs.
right,
That
right,
was what we had to do.
right. Yeah, so that's a big challenge.
Yes. It
And
was.
also to be taking care of yourself, as you said, it was like sort of balancing those two things, how to sustain your own health and vitality and open-heartedness, and then deal with the system.
And you know what, Peggy? The interesting thing about that is at that time, I wasn't even concerned about taking care of myself.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't even aware that I needed to do that because I was a woman on the go. I could do
And
anything.
you were
You know,
young.
rushing woman syndrome is a real thing. And that was me. And,
Which
you know,
which syndrome?
rushing women syndrome. I haven't read the whole book, but it's a book out there now that I look forward to reading. Um, but yeah, I just didn't have any awareness of my need to nurture me. And there was this little girl spirit inside of me saying, Diana, what about me? What about me? And it wasn't
Mm.
until I got sick and until COVID happened, I got sick. We had wildfires in my neighborhood that we were trying to keep safe from while keeping my brother safe from them because he lives in a modified home that is durable. We couldn't just run to any hotel and have him be safe there because if he's dysregulated, he could he could cause damage or he could hurt himself in a place that isn't designed for his needs. So it was
Right.
really a stressful time.
Yeah.
And it was at that time that my body, that little girl tugging at me, said, you have got to find a way to not just survive, but you've got to find a way to nurture yourself.
Right.
And
And maybe de-stress, because it sounds like you were living in a stressful world.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I still live in a stressful world. You know, we all do.
Right.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
but uh there's so much more effort that I put into caring for me than I ever have. And that I think has made a big difference for my health and my mental health.
Let's have a little break. I wanted to share with you about an incredible stress busting tool that I created called Tap for Joy. And it incorporates acupressure tapping, you may have heard of it, NLP, neuro linguistic programming, hypnosis, and somatic awareness into this mighty mouse of an app that can reduce stress and increase happiness. Check it out at Tap for Joy in the Apple Store, Tap for Joy, or an explainer video at tapforjoyapp.com. It will help you to come to center, reduce stress, have a better mood, be more amicable, boost your immune system, deal with past trauma, all kinds of things. There's also an upgrade you can get with lots of cool features. So check out Tap for Joy and tap your way to joy today. So let's get back to the interview now. Yes, I think
It's
so.
helpful to my brother. He doesn't want me to not take care of myself.
Exactly. Of course, he wants you to
Yeah.
be feeling good so you guys can be together and feel good together, right?
Right.
This is a drag when the other person doesn't feel good.
Right.
So, what would you say was like what supported you? There's like a whole list of challenges here. The separation from your brother, trying to get get him out of the institution, getting him settled with a place and caregivers. You didn't mention that, but I know about that. And
Yeah.
also um, the thing with the fires and COVID and all this like super high stress. And then you yourself having to sort of really like wake up to the pounding of the drum saying, it's time for me to do self-care, all
Right.
those like those long lists of challenges. So what do you think were some of the things that really helped you to get through all of that?
I think, well,
And
one of the,
I'm gonna ask you specifically about getting I think I mean the thing with the COVID and the fires is more of a short-term thing. The
yes.
thing with trying to get him out of the institution and all that, I think was a long stretch, a long-term adversity, and there wasn't much light at the end of the tunnel. So how did you persevere through all that?
So I think foundational to me persevering and having the tenacity and the commitment to move forward with that and to be up for the fight, I had to come to an awareness that my brother was competent and that he was deserving.
Yes.
Like I had to, I mean, I understood that, but I had to not be apologetic about that. I needed to not let others' opinions of him and his disability and their definition of his value
Yeah.
dictate to me what was possible for him. And once I realized that,
Yeah.
I was able to um I was able to turn fear into courage. I was able to
Beautiful.
have the tenacity to continue on. I was able to get clarity about what was needed next. I was able to because we had disappointments. We had
Yeah.
fought for a year and a half in court and we lost that first time around. And that was a huge blow. We thought we were going to win. Of course we were going to win. This is the just thing to do. But I learned how to take that and learn from that and strategize better and plan better for when we did win, because we appealed it and the second year and a half went by and we finally won. But it was through creating more strategic possibilities. And who knows, why that had to happen that way, but I've accepted that. I accepted it and said,
Mhm.
okay, what can I do next?
Right.
And
Right.
and what does Joaquin need now in order to process the disappointment as
Yeah.
well,
So it sounds like never giving up, like you
right?
just kept hope and you kept seeing, okay, so what's next? What's next? Instead of, oh, here we are knocked down to the ground. I think I'll collapse and just forget about the whole thing because we'll never get there. So optimism, hope.
Right.
And
Also,
you said turning courage into fear. Tell us a little bit how you did that.
oh, well, so
I'm
my
sorry,
mother,
you turned fear into courage. I said it
yeah,
backwards.
yes, fear into courage.
Yeah.
So my family, my mother, my roots are in Spain, and flamenco is very big in Spain. And so I remember doing one keynote presentation, and it was about um, being I can't remember the title of it, but it was about take comparing how we respond to adversity and and looking at it like the dance of flamenco, and where I am here, like the stance of a flamenco dancer is I am here, what are you going to do about it, basically, and here I'm going to show you. So it was that, like, taking on that attitude of the Spanish pride and having that thing and that confidence to be able to go for it. And part of that was part of what helped that happen, what had it work, was really networking with like-minded individuals and envisioning what was possible.
Uh-huh.
And instead of being fearful of, having stage fright, taking all these negative things that were coming at me. This is impossible. Nobody's ever done this before. Your brother's needs are too severe, quote unquote severe. I started looking at it and saying, no, what's severe is societal responses to my brother's disability, the lack of empathy and the dominance of apathy,
Yes. Yes.
meeting needs. And so reframing it and just really, like I said, getting clarity about what the situation was. When you go into when you're in CPR classes, they say survey the scene, right? When you come into a catastrophe, survey the scene. Okay, I had to survey the scene. What's really happening
Right.
is not
Right.
that my brother is defective. There may be some things that I would love and he would love to have his life be easier, like the dysregulation and the anxiety and the inability to communicate when he wants. Those things, yes, but being autistic is not the problem. The problem is how society responds to the autism.
Yes.
And so looking at it, reframing it, surveying the scene and saying, okay, I don't need to change my brother. I need to change what
The
the
perspective.
opportunities,
The
the
perspective.
perspective, the opportunities, the supports that are going to be present for him in order to have this be a success. And so
Awesome.
by framing it that way,
Yeah.
that gave me clarity, that gave me courage instead
Sure.
of listening to what society had to say to them and being fearful of, the horrible possibilities that sometimes can be overwhelming for people.
Yes. Well, I love that you have that template of the flamenco dancer who just stands tall and does her thing with such
Yeah.
uprightness and such pride and her checks sticking out and like that inner power that you
Yes.
tapped into, right? And then getting like-minded people around you,
Yes.
keeping an optimistic point of view and looking for future opportunities. And I love the reframing thing, like not like, okay, it's like what's really happening and how can we reframing it so that it was seen through the perspective of this is a equally valuable human being,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And what a refreshing and empowering and empathetic and beautiful perspective to have.
Yeah. Thank you. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine how many lives would be transformed if people saw other people in that same way and the opportunities available to them in that same way?
Well, our planet would be, our whole planet would be transformed because all of this nitpicking about all this crazy stuff would just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's beautiful. So you had some, I mean, I don't know how you got all that in, knew to do all that, but you did do all of those things. And so, anybody listening, I think all of these are good points for anybody dealing with any adversity.
Yeah.
And especially if you're dealing with a system, that it's good to have allies, it's good to have
Yeah.
consultants, it's good to have like-minded and like-hearted people, and it's good to reframe your situation so that what's important to you is how you see the situation rather than
Yeah.
going along with the cultural narrative,
Right.
which
That's
is,
a great way to put it.
yeah, thank you. Hey, let's have a little break. And I wanted to share with you about one of my superpowers, which is helping people get through really tough stresses, difficulties, issues, and even trauma or traumas. Lots of people have worked with other people and said, I couldn't break through, but with you, I could. And not only do I help you like get to breakthrough, but also help you to pull back the layers of stress, melt the ice of frozen energy inside of you, and give you access to the beautiful ocean of creative intelligence that's inside of you and all its qualities like strength, courage, wisdom, joy, laughter, and compassion, etc. So chatwithpeggy.us is my scheduling and sign up for a discovery call. You can work with me one-on-one on the phone, Zoom, in person over time, or come to my hometown for a weekend intensive. I look forward to working with you that way if your heart is so drawn. So anyway, now um, having worked through some of the adversities and all of that, how do you, how is it, how did it change your life?
Gosh, I believe that everybody that we encounter in life is here to teach us something. It's not just that, every child with a disability is here to teach you something. I don't believe in saying that. I think that that is, puts a lot of pressure on people with disabilities to be, somebody to teach you something or your inspiration but I do think that everybody is here to teach us something, not
Beautiful.
just my brother. But
Yeah.
I have learned, and he's one of my favorite teachers. I can say that. And I've learned to tune in to the needs of others, like
Mm,
in a deep and respectful way,
yes.
as in you're not a burden to me, you're not an imposition to me. What is it that you need? And what are your access needs? How can I support that? How can I be a true ally?
Hmm.
um I've learned not to be judgmental, which was a
Beautiful.
kind of a big deal for me,
Yeah. Well,
you
for
know.
any person growing up in this culture.
Yeah, I've learned flexibility.
Hmm.
So I remember Joaquin's birthday party, his 50th birthday. I set up this wonderful birthday party at a burger place near our home, and Joaquin loves burgers. And
Mhm.
so I invited all the people who've been allies for him and friends to us and like family and all of his staff. It was going to be really cool. And then on the way there, I was at the restaurant waiting for him, and his caregivers called me and said, "Yeah, Joaquin just started banging on the van windows and he doesn't want to go." so, so he ruined my party.
Wow.
I'm just joking.
And all your big plans. I
I
mean, it
know,
takes
I
a lot of
know.
work to get all that together.
How dare he, right? And so I just had to laugh about it. Like, it wasn't my party, it was his party, and he could do it however he wanted to. And
Beautiful.
so we got the food to go. We took orders, got the food to go, and we came home to his house and sat in his yard. Everybody had, little beach chairs and tree stumps and to sit on, and we just had a great, wonderful time of connection. It
Nice.
was the most memorable birthday party. And I was so proud of him. And I learned to be flexible. It's not all about me. And that's okay. I have to take care of me when it's time for me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How
Um,
beautiful. It's so beautiful. I mean, such wisdom you've gained in this process and attuning and aligning with your beloveds and understanding about needs and all of that stuff, which is what makes relationships work or not, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when someone's capacity increases in those ways, then usually the relationships go better. And you've got extra challenges because of his regulation issues and communication limitations and all of that.
Right.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've gained so much from all of that.
That and more. Yes.
And you've become a speaker, you've become a teacher on disabilities, you're an author, you're like doing your thing, you're on the
Podcaster.
board of the blah blah blah. I can't remember in California. Like big time lady.
Yeah. Yeah. And, thank you for saying that, because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. Right.
Well, that would be the voice that we want to say, go away. Shut
Right.
up.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly, because that's all we can do in those moments, because there's no way we
Right.
can prove it to that voice. It's going to be there no matter how high we set the bar, no matter how many trophies and medals and accolades we have.
Right.
That voice will always be there.
Right. And another thing that you asked about how to overcome adversity. One of
Yes,
the things that I think is so important, and I appreciate your comments about telling that voice to go away, is I started going to therapy,
beautiful.
which was so important,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. I mean, I can relate to that. I've been doing it since I was in my mid 30s and still there and still learning about how incredible life is, how incredible human beings are, how incredible my self is. I mean, and it all changes the perspective on everything. That's,
Yeah.
yeah. And how did it help you specifically, Diane?
Well, it's still helping me for sure. Um, there's I think some of our experiences in life there's trauma associated with them. And some of my experiences, whether with my brother or in other regards, but especially in relation to my brother, are really, really, for lack of a better word, traumatic.
It
And
is.
I don't want to take anything away from his dignity. And I don't blame him, because I know he wasn't in control. He was dysregulated when those things happen, and I love him very much. So there's this you know there's this colliding of two ideologies and two
Yes.
realities, and
Yes.
and, um and so sometimes it's hard to process that, uh
And
but
that's why
I
you need help.
yeah, yeah, to process that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just so thankful that, here's the thing, you asked what I've taken away from that, or I I don't want to, every time I talk to my friends, trauma dump, you
Right.
know,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
because it's so
Exactly.
heavy sometimes. It's so
Exactly.
heavy sometimes, but I need to express it,
Of
right?
course you do. And also, I think that in my own experience with dealing with my siblings' response to my disability and my physical difference and the attention that I got was a lot of positive attention and a lot of negative attention, and it was not easy for them. And it wasn't until I was in therapy that I started to recognize that those things were happening for them. And it
Mm,
wasn't just people staring at me, which is how it was when I was younger. I'm just giving
hmm.
my story about this right now. And
Right.
and then because of that, I'm able to understand now when they're reactive around certain situations
Wow.
where those things from our past get triggered. And my brother
Yes.
just died. I just went through planning a memorial. Yeah. And
Sorry.
everybody else, that's why there's been a gap in the since the last episode, because I've been dealing with that for about a month. Anyway, and I had a lot of interaction with them, and I saw some of those dynamics come up, and because of my therapy, and probably like you, I was able to respond without going into reactivity.
Yeah.
And then I knew that what was happening wasn't really about me. And that's the whole thing that, when you work do your trauma therapy, that it pulls the plug on that trigger that makes you lose yourself, lose your center, lose your ability to make the best choice, lose your clarity, etc. You're cool, etc., right?
Yes.
And it gives you also a much, that little higher perspective
Hmm.
on your situation.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I think that's that whole thing you were talking about keeping optimistic and seeing, reframing things. That's where that comes from. And like doing the inner work to see that, oh, well, this is what's important to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you could keep creating possibilities for nurturing oneself and the relationship.
Yes,
And even if maybe in the case of siblings who don't want necessarily the relationship, at least creating the possibility of having peace surrounding that whole situation.
yes, yes. So I am all for, especially when trauma is involved, because it does take a skilled person to help guide you in, through, and out, and
Hmm.
to help uh, regulate your nervous system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what happens. The trauma trigger comes, and then you're in the trauma vortex, and then you're a week later, you're going, oh my God, what happened?
Hmm.
And you've got all these consequences to deal with.
Right. True.
Yeah. So great. So you went to therapy, you got
Yep.
new perspective, you got support, and you didn't make your friends babysit you. Very good.
Right. Yeah.
Very good.
And I'm reaching out to friends more just for fun,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
creating community around me.
And they're probably up for that. And, some friends like me, I'm happy to listen to people talk about some of that stuff some of the time,
Right.
not all the time, right?
Right. No,
Yeah.
no, you want to just enjoy life too.
Yeah. So, how about the joy part and your spiritual connection? Do you feel like the evolution that you've gone through working through these challenges? I mean, certainly your reach, your impact, your clarity, your voice has expanded significantly. We can definitely see
Yeah.
expansion in your ability to connect, right? And I just wonder, did it have any impact on your spiritual connection? Does all of this have any connection with increased joy in your life?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much gratitude
Yeah, yeah,
for the littlest things
yeah, of
that
course.
most people wouldn't even think about in a day. Um, I mean, I won't say a lot of the things for Joaquin's dignity's sake, but um, he for a simplified version of, he slept through the night. I am so thankful for that. Or he walked outside this morning and he sat on the bench in front of his door. And when I walked out, he said, "Good morning, Diana." He was that tells me today's going to be a good day. I'm feeling good. I mean, just I am so thankful for the littlest of things, and thankful for continued future possibilities.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Love that. Love
yeah.
that.
I wake up and every step, thank you. Thank you. I can't believe I wake up with this level of support for my brother and this level of safety for my brother and for me and my family and joy surrounding us. It's just overwhelming that we created, Peggy, I used to go when Joaquin, and I think you may have seen, I did a TED talk, and I shared the story where you got, tell us the story of, you on the first day of school. Um, I used to share in college classes and keynotes. I used to share that story about Joaquin before he got out of the institution. And my slides showed pictures of him visualizing what his life will be like as if it already happened. And
Yeah.
I did this repeatedly. It was
Beautiful.
like a vision board that I got to share with
Yes.
audiences of 500 people at a
Yes, and
time.
they helped you imagine it too.
Totally. And I would feel the joy while I was doing it. And the
How?
people in the audience, their
Yeah.
combined joy from it. So when I wake up to this reality, I'm just like, I can't believe we created this. Like, I'm so touched that we were able to create this. And I'm not saying that it was that alone that did it, but oh my gosh, the people, the community that we created around advocating for his release and then creating this beautiful place where really amazing people work with him and support him and just really support him on good days and bad.
Uh-huh.
And we have people who've been with him for 14 years, which is unheard of.
Wow.
Three
Wow.
people, three of his staff have been with him for 14 years. And
Wow.
the rest are
That's
have,
amazing.
yeah,
I bet that's some kind of record because,
it pretty much is. Yeah.
and that means he has a capacity to love because he's been loved. That's what that means.
He does. He's such a loving
Hmm.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful. So beautiful. And I just love the joy, the idea that joy, it like gratitude is one foot and joy is the other. Which one is the egg and the chicken? Like which one comes first? It's like, right?
yes,
But
yes,
the gratitude gives rise to joy, the joy gives rise to gratitude. And as you recognize how incredibly blessed that you are, that I am, that we are in each moment that we can see, that we can have our voice, that we can breathe, that we have pain free, this, that, like so many things, right? And in your case, all of the breakthroughs that your brother has had and that he's had these relationships that have lasted over time is so beautiful because of that gratitude and that
yeah,
joy,
yeah. And it takes conscious effort every day because
for sure.
things go wrong.
Yeah,
Things go wrong. The
love
first thing
that.
in the morning, somebody
Yeah.
calls out sick, and I'm like, oh, man, now what am I going to do? I had this interview set up with Peggy O'Neill, and now I'm going to have to cancel it or whatever,
Exactly.
like, but,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, okay, what am I thankful of? Oh, I'm so thankful that that individual gets to be home and get well, and they're not going to get me and Joaquin sick. I'm so thankful that I have some other people that might be able to help out, that we can be creative with scheduling. I'm so thankful if those don't work. I'm so thankful that I have this beautiful place that Joaquin is still safe and that I have friends like Peggy who are going to be okay if I have to cancel so that I can support my brother. Like there's always something to be thankful for.
Love that. It's
Always.
beautiful. So true. It's so true. And I love also you mentioning that challenges come up. I mean, for me, sometimes, I walk into the grocery store and there's somebody looking at me like a weirdo from Star Wars, and it's not a happy reception. Let's say that. Sometimes I get the happy reception when I'm weirdo from Star Wars. Sometimes not. And then it's like that same thing. It's like I have to, in the moment, choose Who am I going to be? Am I going to collapse and fall down and be the victim, or I'm going to remember who I really am, what's really important to me, and give thanks for all the amazing magic that is in my life?
Yes, amen. Yes.
Right? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm out of questions other than, is there anything else that you would like to share with our From Adversity to Awakening audience?
Well, I don't think there's any, I mean, there's so much more. There's so much more, Peggy, but people are welcome to see my work on dianapastoracarson.com. And if they are interested in disability awareness in schools at all, I have a lot of resources on that going beyond awareness, which is partially,
There's a program that you developed that,
I have a book called Beyond Awareness.
right.
I mean,
And teachers can train themselves to give it in the schools. Is that right?
yes, I
Yes.
have a digital course that teaches them how to do that. I
Awesome.
also have a Beyond Disability Awareness and Educators Guide, which parents can use it too.
Awesome.
And it's really kind of like a trifold laminated guide.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and the podcast helps with that. I definitely am always around to speak to family groups and
Mhm.
disability related groups and educational groups.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
ding, 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 everybody, all the uh, parents and teachers and friends of parents and friends of teachers that can, and even if you don't have someone immediately in your world with disabilities, that the disability community is crying for support and equality.
Yeah,
And it is ever in our interest to open our hearts, open our minds, and give respect to all human beings. And through
yeah,
practicing it day by day with little bit, we transform the world. Right?
yeah. And Peggy, one of the things that I focus on so much is instead of creating disability awareness, I look at access awareness. You
Thank
know,
you.
giving people access to all the things that make our life quality
Yes,
great, like education, equitable education, employment, housing, medical or healthcare,
yes.
access to communication for people
Beautiful.
who speak or communicate through alternative methods.
Uh-huh.
Those are the things that I really focus on with my education and going beyond awareness. So if that speaks to anybody, then those are my people. Thank you
Okay.
so much for having me here, Peggy.
And you're no longer tied down to having to go to school from 7 to 4 every day. So you are a flying eagle of intelligence and compassion that can can come to anybody anywhere. And
Thank
especially since we have the internet, right? And I'm
Yep.
sure you have a lot of tools online. So Diane, thank you so much for enlightening us about this, about your journey and how incredibly beautifully you have. Yeah, I didn't even know what she was going to say, but knowing Diane, I knew that she has gone through this kind of transformation and had an evolution in her mind, body, and spirit. And I just wish you all the best. And
Thank
thanks
you,
so much for
Peggy.
being
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah. Take care. Okay, everybody, I'll see you on the next episode. And until then, open your heart, open your mind, and remember that you are a beautiful expression of divine intelligence. Bye bye. Uh-oh. Well, thanks for being a fan of the podcast, and I would love if you would subscribe. Also, wanted to remind you about that mighty little app, Tap for Joy, and share with you about the amazing features for just $5 a month, like a no brainer, right? You're going to get some amazing tools for decreasing stress and increasing happiness, like a happy memory journal, which rewires your brain for happiness. You're going to get a bunch of customized tapping dialogues, which pinpoint and target your stress areas, a learn center, a bunch of other stuff, and a 5-day challenge. Highly recommend that for getting the most out of your results, for decreasing stress and increasing happiness. So check out Tap for Joy. Download it now in the Apple Store. Try it out. You'll be surprised and amazed at how amazing it is, how remarkable it is, and how transforming it is. And I will see you on the next episode. So long for now.